corner of our office, it's 33 feet 9 inches. So it's 38.9 from our house. And they have a scale on there, an inch is 40 feet, and it's about 60 feet from their house. I measured, so with the scale, with the architect's rule. So it is, it's definitely sited closer to our house than theirs. And that is something, even if they needed to leave it for whatever reason in that location, if they could even just move it, even like 10 feet, I guess, we had thought, because the zoning is complex, that's our front yard, actually, even though our doors are both sited on the private road, or for whatever reason, when the houses were zoned, they zoned them differently, which also made this confusing and added to the confusion. So that is our front yard where they have it placed right now. But I guess it's their side yard. So even if they moved it further down to the road, towards the neighbors who like it, they could have a better view of it, and it could be just a little further from the private areas, even if we could still see it, but if it was just a little bit more removed from our main picture windows and stuff like that, that would be a wonderful outcome for us as well. We'll take anything.
I saw these cool chicken coops at a state fair that are actually on wheels,
Yeah.
and they're motorized and they're solar powered, so that they move slowly across the landscape, and the chickens eat the bugs and the grass, and it's all free ranging.
We're up for that.
Just a
Well,
suggestion.
Well, just a reminder that this is not a site plan review. This is an architectural and historic review board issue. So we're not in a position to move it, and it's code compliant at this point.
So first of all, it's a bummer that somehow something like this can't be worked out between neighbors. But sticking to the narrow thing of the AHRB, I have no objections. I mean, I have to be honest, I think from the photographs, it looks like a very nice little structure. So from that narrow construct, I don't have anything to add. I would be cautious about asking them to move it further in, because ironically, from the upper stories of your house, the further you move it into the property, the less the fence is going to obstruct it, right? You're going to move it further in, your sight line to it is actually going to be better the further in it comes. So I wouldn't push too hard for that.
We're below them now. We're actually below, so actually further they move it in, the less.
Okay. So again, I think there ought to be a solution to this, but as Alan said, we're not really in a position to do anything about it.
You should just let us try to work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, I mean, to me, this is like, it seems like that should be so doable, but we can't broker that, huh?
I commit to that. I'm sure I could even work something out with them.
Free eggs.
Yeah.
Well, that would be,
So I think you can work something out between two neighbors outside of this meeting. This meeting is really just so for the architecture review of the actual chicken coop itself. So ultimately, however that decides to get placed on the site, as long as it meets zoning from the building inspector's point of view, it's really the architecture review at this point.
But our ruling on the architecture doesn't affect your issues. Our ruling on the architecture has no impact on your issues. It doesn't matter, like if we're just saying it's acceptable from an architectural point of view. We can't, yeah,
we have a limited scope
I
here.
hear you, but we can't.
Okay, is there anything else? Members of the board?
No.
Professional team?
Sorry, we couldn't help.
I'm sorry.
All right, we have a resolution.
Yes, we do. Whereas the applicant is seeking a architectural and historic review approval to construct an accessory structure. The property is located at 231 Clinton Avenue. whereas the AHRB is familiar with the project site and the general vicinity and has reviewed the application in accordance with Article 4 Architectural and Historic Review Board, Chapter 300 Zoning and Land Use of the Village Code. And now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application's approval is granted subject to the following, and it specifically refers to the architectural plan sheets dated last revised November 24th, 2025.
I make the motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Okay. Oh, yes, I wasn't even paying attention.
Is that yours?
It's mine, yeah. Stick it up there.
Wow,
Probably ignored it.
that's too bad.
Yeah.
We can't work it out.
Next item on the agenda is 96 Main Street. And Patty, if this is you, are you gonna do both 96 and 98 together?
No, I figured I'd kind of do half of one, half the other. Yeah, we're gonna do them
Okay.
both together. Issues are all the same. And obviously, we don't want to take up too much of your time. Let's see if I can get this started. We can see it good. Patty Steinschneider, Gotham Design, here representing Yazoo Properties. The people who purchased both 96 and 98. They bought it about a year ago. We have been working on the building since, with the idea that there were a lot of damages inside the building, a lot of structural issues. So before we got into the idea of actually making improvements to it, we figured we better bring it up into good shape. We've worked closely with the building department, who's been, they've been focused on what really counts, which is helpful. So what we've done is we've taken this through a series of steps already, where we had a demolition permit, then we had a repair permit, then we just recently got the permit for interior work. And now we are looking to move to the outside, which brings us to you. There's no changes that are being made to the building, so this is Architectural Review Board only, and not a site plan application. So I will walk you through some stuff, and hopefully it'll all make sense, as much as things can in this world.
Sounds good.
It's crazy. Okay, so I think you guys probably know, this used to be the karate place on Main Street. There was a little like stationery store next door. Both of those buildings were on our map that we did in 2002 as one of the, as two of the 50 buildings in the downtown that we thought had issues that necessitated, up in some cases, condemnation. These weren't that bad, but they were pretty bad. The item that we found inside of 96 that was remarkably interesting was they had a leak in the floor in one of the bathrooms, where when they take a shower, water get on the floor, it would run across the floor, it would drip down to the floor below. So they fixed it. They opened up the ceiling and put a gutter under the wall leak to capture the water, and then they had a little plastic tube that tied it in somewhere. So it was that kind of a building, and the Yazapovs have done a really good job. I mean, they started off a little off because they thought it could be a little bit more cosmetic, but once they understood the extent of the damage, they've embraced it, and they're doing the right kind of work. The two buildings are relatively small. The bigger is 22 feet wide, and is deeper. It goes almost the full depth of the property, but not fully with the building. There's a basement basically, which is the commercial space in the back. It's on street level in the front. The other building is so small, I was actually thinking that it made sense to take it down and build something bigger, which, I always like to do that. So, but they're committed to restoring these two buildings the way that they are with the number of units that they had. So we are doing that. You don't really need to spend, I think, much time on this. It just gives a sense of the space. The lower is 96, which is a very deep space, could be an interesting use. It's big enough to be something like a restaurant. The other building is very small in the commercial space, but it's the one that's actually getting the most interest. We've had a couple of different people express interest in renting it. But so far, that's not, we can't even tell people when we'll be done with this. Upstairs, we have 5 residential units, 2 on one floor, 3 on the other. In the 96, there are 2 units, one above the other in 98. We have made significant changes to the layouts of the units, but all of that is interior work. And now we would like to move to where we're doing the exterior. Some quick photos just to kind of bring you up to date. These are the 2 buildings. 98 is on the left, 96 is on the right. There are some interesting attributes to the building. It's got some interesting trim work, which we're planning to restore. The first thing that we were able to do was on the front was take the fire escape off. So the fire escape is gone, and that's all that I think makes a vast improvement just by itself. So here's the back of 98. This backyard could use some help. I mean, worry about chicken coops next to your house. I think this gets up there. So our plan is to clean all this up and get it all into good order. We've already started taking some of the things out, but there's no addition being built on this or extension of it. Kind of get the sense, you see how that's the existing wall of 96. You've got changes that have been made over the years, patched in. It basically looks like a building that could use some attention. The back of it is vinyl, which is not really a right material, in my opinion, for downtown and fire limits. So we're proposing changing that. Here's from the aqueduct. You can see the building, and basically you've got stucco on the front, stucco on the 2 sides, vinyl on the back. Our plan is to do stucco on all 4 sides, restore the stucco. We're replacing all the windows. We're replacing them basically pretty much in kind of size, different type of window, a tilt and turn. So it doesn't swing out. It's a casement that does not swing out. On the front, we've got it set up so that it will look like the double hung that's there with the crossbar. But it's hard to get say, well, geez, I wish we had an old double hung when I'm getting a U18, which is pretty remarkable. So, we're doing a lot of things to bring this up to speed with heat pumps, really a good installation job. So we're hoping that you agree that this direction is good. This is just a street facade showing how the building kind of fits in. We actually have 2 different options for the front door, and we're wondering if we actually could have the latitude that which place the front door would be determined by they're in the same location, but in openings. But if this turned out to be a restaurant or something like that, we'd want to have a pair of doors in the middle. If it's a shop or some kind of a business, it'd be better if the door is on the side and a display window in the front. So we've made the windows and the doors the same size and somewhat interchangeable, whether it's 2 or 1. This is the version that has 3 windows in the center of 96 and the door on the left and right. Nothing changes on 98. This is the version that would be the doors in the middle, a window on the left, and the door to the apartments upstairs on the right. So I've got some larger images for that. Here's just
Excuse me,
showing.
Patty, one question, Valerie. Do we have the flexibility to leave those options
We
open?
can put it in as a condition if you'd like.
So if we like both of those options, we could allow that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Yeah, the point we made them the same size, so it wouldn't be a structural modification. It would be just how the storefront works.
Nobody's come, I've been on the board for over 15 years, and this is the first time anybody's proposed.
Oh, I did this like 30 years ago.
Thank
I don't
you.
know why they haven't done it since. So here's showing the placement of the windows. A lot of them are in the same place. Some of them have moved. Because one of the things that we've wanted to do is get light and ventilation. Also egress. A lot of the windows in the existing building don't meet fire code for people being able to get out. So we're making sure all that gets done correctly. On the back, we're adding a railing on the back of the deck. You could come out those windows, out that door, and walk right off the end of it right now, which is not great. So we're bringing everything into code compliance. This is the side on Harper's. There is also an interesting door on the top floor that opened out onto a flat roof that has no railing on it. And if you didn't know that, you could walk right off the building. We're taking that out. So here's what we're doing. Here's what we're trying to do with the colors. We're basically the base of 98 is brick. We're probably gonna have to redo all the brick because we're changing the openings. It would look messy if we fixed it. So we're going to redo the whole brick facade. We're extending that across 96. So the feeling of the streetscape ties them together. There'll be the same stucco above. The windows are different. Massing is different. We're keeping the trim style that we have on the windows on 96. We are going to replace the wood that's deteriorated. We're using Burrell now. We're no longer even trying to use AZAC. We've just had too many problems with it. So we're using Burrell, which is a fly ash product that has no issues and does not expand and contract with the sun. So we think it's better than AZAC, but having everything on this be effectively meet the fire limits as well. If we do stucco on all of the sides, I think we're actually bringing the building into better compliance with safety in terms of fire conditions, as well as we're going to have an insulation board so that we have continuous insulation on the building to make it better from an environmental standpoint. The color of the trim is actually the color that's there now, which is a kind of soft gray green. So that's kind of what we're hoping works. This is a bigger drawing of it. I don't think I went bigger than this. So this here you can kind of see what the difference is. Actually, yeah, the difference is between the pair of doors in the middle and the 3 windows in the middle and the door on the side. So I think it stays the same. We also are adding 4 lights on the front of each building, down lights onto the sidewalk. That it'll have enough of a splay of light that it could illuminate a sign. We're not asking for a sign at this point. We also are seeking a $5,000 grant for each building from the grant that the village got. We've made the application for that. And what we hope to, we're putting into that we will like to have a blade sign on both, but the blade sign, I think, would be something that has to come before you separately, because we don't know what the use is going to be and what their blade sign would look like. So we figured that would be something that would come later. These pictures are too small to see, but you know this so well, so maybe this is a waste of your time. If I take you through and show you all the photographs on that block of the buildings.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Good.
Good there.
So I think that is all, this is just some things showing. I was gonna be prepared that if somebody said, we love that brick the way that it is, I was gonna point out that I don't think it's really that great. So I think it'll be good to get that fixed. And the other building is definitely in need of a complete redo on the front.
I would say that both buildings could use some cosmetic help, so
Yeah.
this is great to see.
Mhm.
I do have a concern about the storefront or the ground floor looking continuous across both buildings, but I would like to loop my fellow
Sure.
board members into that discussion. Maybe they think it's a good thing. I just have a concern about it being
Yeah.
excessively similar, let's say, which is one of our concerns
Yeah.
as a
It would be
AHRB.
nice if the 2 buildings were there a little distinction between the 2 facades, so you just could see, unless, because it's not one building, so.
Well, I also think that the roofs and the function are so different that it might be a good gesture to make them separate. I mean, the one on the left is definitely a different design than the right, so they can have similar, you can maybe somehow bring them together, but not necessarily make them one whole. You know what I'm saying?
It won't be a continuous facade, right? There's a setback or something, right?
Well, they line up, there are recesses for the doors, so the doors don't swing out onto the sidewalk. So there's a shadow line to all of it. I mean, I was actually looking at the other way. I was looking at these buildings are so small, that if we could tie things together, we could have just a scale that is more similar, say, to the building next door. You know, this building, the 2 of these units is the same width as 100 Main. And actually same width as Mimosa, or what used to be Mimosa, now is Harper's. So that scale of the street tends to be that wider width. And I always get nervous, as I think I should, when I start saying, well, I want to make them different. Because unless there's some intrinsic reason that they would be different, it's kind of synthetic.
But they are different.
They're different buildings.
They're totally different.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah.
Is there like a 5 or 6 inch setback on
Not even-
98 from 96?
I mean, they're different.
no,
They have different roofs,
they
have
line
different
up,
heights.
They're in the same plane.
they're in the same plane.
But that's
Right.
the only thing that's similar. Everything else is different. They have different windows, they have different heights, they
Yeah.
have different roofs, everything's different.
And, yeah. Well, first of all, I think, I'm sorry, I didn't. mean-
No, go ahead.
This is a great project. I mean,
Yeah,
let's
this
be
is
clear.
great.
It's like,
Thank you.
these buildings need some love.
Thank you for fixing. it.
Having said that, there are a couple of things. I totally agree that it's weird for the two buildings to have the same base. There's, I want to be convinced about I'd like to see some photographs of this faux double hung casement window
Sure.
to be convinced that it really works. I really don't see, I don't quite get what the problem is with getting double hung windows here and why we wouldn't do that. But if you can, there's a photograph of this.
Yeah.
Faux one that looks convincing, then that's great.
The way it's, I mean, if you look at this right now, as the building looks, they kind of match. What you don't get is obviously a double hung
Right,
dogs.
right.
So
And right,
you don't get that shadow line.
right. And the only thing I've learned, or one of the few things I've learned in terms of my AHRB capacity is the shadow line that
Makes
is
it all-
made by the window being either set back from the
Yeah.
facade or the two levels is almost the whole ballgame. When I look at the
Yeah.
game, when I look at the projects that we approved that have these kind of windows that look great, they look like this in elevation, and then when you see the facade built, it looks like a skin, looks terrible. So I think that makes a big difference. the-
I agree.
the Shadow line, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I know that, in the meetings that we've had so far regarding this comprehensive plan and the streetscape, the idea of there being awnings on buildings has been something that people have endorsed or said that they would like to see. So I'd be curious to see what that looks like on this building. I don't know if it looks better.
Awnings?
Or awnings,
Okay.
which.
I mean, if we had somebody who came in who said they wanted an awning on their storefront, I'd have obviously no objection. But I don't know that we put awnings on and hope that somebody likes it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
And then the last thing I would say is, and I just, feel a little burned, but now it's been fixed with the Ashford Avenue building. I assume that you're meeting all the requirements for the complete transparency of the ground floor uses. And even though you don't know what's going in there,
right.
there needs to be something somewhere, maybe it's in the resolution or whatever, that says that display cases or whatever are not going to be put up against the glass. We were successful with that with Walgreens, right? Like we
Right.
could have made them put the glass in
You talking 2 Ashford Avenue?
and they could have put all of their
Right.
display cases up against, and you wouldn't achieve the effect,
No
the
argument.
idea that you should be able to look in and see what's going on.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that
Which
kind
is
of
the one
remains.
that you're talking about doesn't do it right now on Ashford? 2 Ashford? Because 2 Ashford, all the windows open into the space.
The new mixed use building.
Oh, okay, good.
Huh? Where we had reflected glass for like a year. And a film on the back of the glass, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I think that
So-
should be I 100% agree
So,
with that, and I'd
some-
like it to have it in resolution, so somebody doesn't later say, well, there's nothing that says we can't.
Right, there's nothing that says we can't put
Yeah.
our storage thing up against this window and block it out. And if we don't say it, somebody will do it,
Didn't
in
we,
my experience.
in our design guidelines for the downtown, didn't we have something about? a
We have
certain
something about the
percentage?
glass. We
Right.
have something about the
Anything-
glass.
It does, it's anything within 3 feet of the window would be considered a sign
Right.
in our code.
On the inside of the building.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they would have to get
So they would
approval
have to
for
get
that.
approval.
Yes.
Good.
So I think, yeah, that was one of our main concerns, was the openness and transparency because you don't want to walk down the street if it's boring, and the way you make it not boring is look at
Right.
stores and see stuff.
Okay.
So, other comments?
I have a question about the roofing. It's noted that investigate location of roof leak, remove and replace repairs required. Is that something that we need to be concerned with? And
What exactly is it?
so in the drawings on the
Right.
roof plan, it says that investigate location of roof leak, remove, replace, repair as required, scope of work to be determined. So is that something that we need to be concerned with or addressed or,
That's in the previous permit we got, which is for the repair of the building.
okay,
And that's being addressed. What matters here is, what color we're doing, but these buildings both need to be completely re-roofed.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, we've got a really good engineer, Cyrus Manduobi, who won't let anybody get away with anything. So, you've got problems now with how things have rotted out in this building. Let's make sure we don't have that in another 50 years with the way
and
this
what is
built.
the roofing material? Is that new, the whole roof on the top there? That's all new?
That's all the existing roof, which is gonna be resurfaced.
Okay,
So like the asphalt shingles that you see on 98, those will be replaced with new asphalt shingles.
okay. And the one on,
The one on the right is a standing metal that's got like more of a tar finish on it. That's what's existing there now, which actually looks pretty cool.
okay,
And then back behind that it's much more of a flat roof.
okay. And that you're just gonna refinish,
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wouldn't do us any good to do this and have water coming in. That'd be a bad
Put
thing.
up a gutter.
Yeah, we just put a gutter under it. Yeah, always good.
I was just curious. Thank you.
So I mean, I guess the big takeaway, this is great. This is great that you're doing this. So I guess the two big things are the similarity of the two bases of the buildings
Yep.
and the casement window issue. That seems to be, that's what, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so-
Those are the only
so-
issues I have.
So Patty, is the tilt and turn issue, I mean, I know Europeans use that all the time
Right.
and they get much better thermal performance from those windows.
Exactly.
So that's your kind of motivation behind that,
Yeah.
is that correct? Okay, but I do second Rob's concern that we have approved some buildings and the windows are not set in at
They're not
all. So it
punched.
looks like they're not punch windows.
It's a key thing. It really, I mean, Rob's point on it is 100%. Biggest disappointment I've had in any project we've done was at 66. At 66, we were using real brick. So we had the brick basically 4 inches out in front of the windows. So you saw brick return. They switched to thin brick. Had they told us they were gonna do that, I would have said, we have a really good detail. We can get the pieces to turn the corner and you have to frame with a 2x4 inside the 2x6 and you can sink the windows back in, you can get the right shadow. No conversation about it. We didn't know it until they were building it. And there was unfortunately nothing that was, we didn't get cooperation that was an issue.
Maybe this works. I'd just like to see a picture of what one
Yeah.
of these looks like.
It needs to not feel like it's a piece of tape on the front of the glass. It feels like you need to see a shadow line. And that's the reason that it is a real horizontal as opposed to a mutton or something
And
like
maybe
that.
the applied thing creates that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just want to see a picture of it in
Yep.
like a real one.
And as far as the base is concerned, I mean, could we just look at, I mean, I'm gonna leave this up to you to come up with something that's not so similar, but different color brick, right? There's no change in the labor involved or
Right.
a different layout of the brick or something to.
I
just
think
make
that
two
would be,
separate buildings.
I mean, you have so little brick. I don't think you want to start trying to make it look jazzy.
Mhm.
I think we've got a little bit of difference the way we did it with the brick work, but I think it really would be going with a different color. If it was like a real change and using a brick that's not one of the ones that are nearby. So looks like this is a different one. And if the concern is something that looks too big, given the smallness of the buildings and the desire to have it look different, a different color brick would be a good solution.
Yeah, and these are real bricks, right? It looks
Yep.
like.
Can you come back to our next meeting with those issues addressed?
I probably can.
One
I
other
know you
thing.
have to sell your client.
But it's
One other
good.
thing,
No,
you
it's-
mentioned having a couple different options for doors. I didn't see anything actually in the package. I was just looking of the
Right.
details of the door options, so those would usually want
We'll
to submit those.
Yeah, we'll submit all of that and we'll make, exactly what the dimensions are so that it's like clear how one would be instead of the other. That only came up when we've gotten calls from people that like to walk through and they're saying, what's gonna be here and there. And the person who's thinking, wouldn't this make a great pub? Is thinking one kind of door setup, and the person who's thinking this would be a nice clothing store is
I'm not-
thinking,
Right, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just
Yeah.
saying for the record, but we'll
Yep.
just need that.
Yeah, that, Patty, that doesn't appear to be a problem. We just need to know and,
Yeah.
put it in the resolution that both options are available.
good.
Does anybody else have any comments or concerns about this application?
No, I don't.
No.
No, this-
I think
We
it's
have
great.
two members that are new, and I haven't heard them speak in any of the meetings. Don't you guys have an opinion? I thrive on the energy that comes from you guys.
Don't encourage him.
Be
Don't
careful,
encourage
be
him.
careful what you, be careful what you ask.
Don't
We
encourage
will not
Patty.
leave until midnight if you
Or-
even start.
He'll start in and you'll be here.
Yep. So I think I've got my task, and I think it's a reasonable one, and I think we can make sure that what do we have 2 weeks before we have to submit?
About 2 weeks
Yeah, it's 2 weeks before the meeting, right? Because it's a repeat.
as a continuation.
Yep. Not a
You
problem.
could call Sarah for the exact date.
I call her every day.
Yes.
Thank you,
All right,
Mike.
thank you, Patty. We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
month.
Hold on, you'll see me in about 5 weeks.
Oh, we're on the agenda. I think I saw
Okay.
that, yeah. The next item on the agenda is 73 Main Street, AHRB review for proposed exterior changes to existing building, including replacement of rear porch.
Good evening. My architect wasn't able to come tonight, so I'm here.
Okay, you are, and where do you live?
Anthony Grande, 73 Main Street.
Okay.
So we're basically replacing a back porch. And there was a decorative wall on the ground level that we don't plan on putting back up. But otherwise, everything else is the same that was there.
I took a look at this. I didn't see anything of concern to me. Board members, any issues?
No, I mean, it would be good to, there's no actual, in the stuff you submitted, unless I'm missing something. There isn't actually, though, an elevation of what this thing looks like, right? They're the photographs,
Right.
but is there and there's a plan? Oh, no, there is an elevation.
They're on the side there.
I see. Yeah, okay,
Um,
all good.
It looked very similar to what was there
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, just
Okay.
Yeah, they're just structurally sound in this case, right?
I have no issues then.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Dan, building department? No. Valerie?
Nope.
Anthony, you probably didn't look, right?
Nope.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I think it's fine.
Mr. Steinschneider, you're up on the screen.
You're on the screen.
Well, I shouldn't be.
Yes.
I should be able to be at the meeting without being on the screen. Yeah, I'm
All
gone.
right. Valerie, would you
Yep.
like to?
I have,
Resolution.
all right, whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review approval to make exterior changes. The property is located at 73 Main Street. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB of the Village of Dobbs Ferry determines that based upon the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application for architectural and historic review approval is granted, subject to the following, and the approved plans refer to the plans dated November 6, 2025.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, you're good.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is 311 Broadway, public hearing for site plan approval for additions and renovations to existing three-story multifamily residence. I move that we open the public hearing. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye. And you're.
Should I announce?
No, I just have the notes over here.
You see the little thing in the upper left-hand corner? Albert Steinschneider is talking. How odd.
Literally.
Always.
Always talking.
There's a phrase in the law called res ipsa loquitur.
Yes,
Thing speaks for itself.
I know that they're.
Created presumably enough room for the landscape screening. I would still.
And I'm joining.
I was gonna ask them to, respond. Otherwise, it's a great project.
Okay.
No.
We're in business here. Hi, good evening. My name is Suzanne Levine. I'm project architect for 311 Broadway. And I am here with Christina Griffin from CGA Studio. We're representing our client Andrew Cortese, also here as well. We were here last month for the pre-submission, gave you a detailed overview of this project. I can summarize a little bit what we went over last meeting and some revisions that we made.
Please.
Okay. Here we go. So this up in the upper right-hand corner, you can see the existing building. It's an existing 3-story brick structure on Broadway. It is currently used as a multifamily dwelling. It has seven very small, undersized, dilapidated units, most of them under 600 square feet, and it has 1 parking space. We are proposing to renovate the building, restore it, and preserve as much of the historic detail as possible and revive it. And with the additions, our plan was to have a mix of six units, one bedroom, 4 2-bedrooms, and 1 3-bedroom. And with that, we when we were here last month, we had 8 parking spaces. There was some current concern with the 2 parking spaces in the front yard. There was too much paving. So we took a look at that to see if we could create more of a green buffer and reduce the paving in the front yard. Also, since we were here last month, we received 2 memos, one from the county planner and also from Ms. Menastra, and we are planning to respond to those memos in our next submission. But I will say that one thing that we are considering because of both those memos, we are thinking of now going from 6 units to 7 units. And the 3rd floor, instead of having a 1 3-bedroom, to make that 2 units, either a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom or 2 2-bedrooms, not sure, maybe a 2 and a 1. So we're going to look at that. That would address the county's concern that we're reducing the unit count, even though we're improving the units. It also gives reason for the space in the front, which has a few reasons. So I'm going to just show you what we are proposing in the front yard. We had 2 spaces in the front with not much of a green buffer last time. We reduced it to 1 space, and we've set it back from the existing porch. And as well, we've increased the green buffer as facing Broadway. So, you know, if we're increasing the unit count to 7, now we would have 7 spaces to serve the 7 units. Also the space, you know, it's an important area for, I know there were some issues with accessibility that were brought up by the county. And what this, because of the it's an existing building and we have some site constraints that we certainly want to improve the accessibility. We're introducing a code compliant stair and an elevator, and but what this upper space allows is dropping somebody off at the upper part of the property, allows for a turnaround space, allows for deliveries. So we still feel it's even though we have the parking spaces in the back, it's an important area for parking. And, you know, we really do plan to treat it like a courtyard with the pavers and the plantings. And I'm gonna go, we did submit a planting plan. This wasn't submitted, but, you know, we just took a look, but I promised this to you in our letter. We took a look at, you know, what the plantings, how the plantings would screen the car in the front yard. So, here we have the elevation, this is Broadway and the sidewalk, and these are the plantings that are proposed on the planting plans. We have a holly and some hydrangea, and those are the heights proposed. And you can see that's over here. We have a row of 6 holly, 5 hydrangea to screen the car. There's a little bit of a berm here, a little bit of a higher elevation to raise the plantings a bit. And on this corner, the larger plantings include a new oak tree and more hollies to provide more screening.
So regarding the oak tree, where
Yeah.
are the power lines?
I'm sorry,
Where are the power lines?
where are the power lines? Well,
You don't have to answer that right now, but if
yeah, we
somebody
could look at the survey
I can
together.
take a look.
We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
You mean connecting to the house?
Well, we don't want to plant a nice oak tree right
I
underneath
see,
power
I see,
lines
I
because
see.
then you end up with those, Franken trees.
Mhm.
Doesn't do us any good.
No, they usually carve, utility companies will carve the middle of it out. It's perfect.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. I'm not sure. I'm
I'm a fan of oak trees. I just, it's in the right place.
We want the power lines to be safe. I am having a little, let me get back to my. There we go. Okay. Here we are. So those are the changes to the site plan. And I know there's still some concern about the permeable paving at the concrete pavers and for the porous asphalt. We submitted details for both of those installations and data for the permeable concrete pavers, but we are going to be following up with data for the porous asphalt. I think one thing I just wanted to clarify about these materials, and I know it's something that's it's a concern for the village, how to document the permeability. I just wanted to say that both these materials have a void space of about 7 to 10%, and I used to think that the void space was equated with the permeability, but that's not really the case, is my understanding. But I'd really like to have a conversation with the building department about this. But my understanding is that the 7 to 10% void space is part of the equation, but it's the underlayment, which is can be 12 to 18 inches, which serves as a reservoir, which helps the runoff go to 0. So when you compare the runoff coefficient for like the Unilock permeable paver to asphalt, the runoff is 0.85 or something like that, and the Unilock is 0. So it's hard to, well, not hard, but what I would like to just I would like to have a discussion with the village as to how we determine the rate of permeability based on the data for these materials. And so we're going to try to address that in our next submission, and then maybe we can have a conversation about that.
That's great.
So we have our planting plan. We have to address the permeable paving materials. And it's just some things that came up in the planner in the county memos, some accessibility issues, addressing the bikes, maybe having some electric chargers. And so we're going to look into that for the next submission. I can take you through the plans and elevations again, or maybe we're.
No, as a
enough.
path forward, I'd just like to say, I'm not going to speak for the whole board, but I think this is great. This building also needs some love. And I'm delighted to see that move forward. But in the interest of that, I'd like Valerie and Anthony to speak to what their open items are and make sure you have a good list of that so you can move on that aggressively. And then maybe we'll put this out to the board, and then eventually it's a public hearing. So if anybody wants to speak to it. Valerie, you want to start?
Yeah, I just want to highlight a couple things is the environmental assessment form. Like we really want to complete
Thank
seeker.
you. Thank you for going through that, and we're going to update it and get you a new one.
Okay, that'd be great because then we can get to a part two and then potentially a neg deck for this particular project.
Okay.
And then also just for the permeable pavers, the reason why we keep raising that is because if for some reason you're not able to show the calculations of 100% permeable, you will need a zoning variance,
I
right?
understand.
And so we just want to make sure if you need the zoning variance, then we want to get you to the zoning board as soon as possible.
So, you know, I understand that, and we did go through the zoning board, and we were really trying to avoid another variance. You know, so we're going to try and support the values that we're showing. We do have a backup plan. There is another material that we've used in Dobbs Ferry. It's a true grid system, which is really just basically a gravel trapped in a grid, and that is truly, specified by the manufacturer as 100% permeable. But it's not our preferred paving material, so we're just going to try and work with these materials and see if we can satisfy the code.
And then the last was the affordable housing. So if you are looking for an interpretation on that, that would be the zoning board of appeals as well.
We were
For
looking
what?
for an interpretation and you
So
gave it.
the
yeah.
applicant was asserting that because it's a rehab, that they didn't have to provide the 1 unit of affordable housing. But there is a component in the code that specifically says dealing with rehabilitation as well as new units. So, but if they want an interpretation on that, then the ZBA would be the appropriate board to interpret that.
And I just want to address that we were looking for an interpretation because we weren't clear, but you made it very clear. So we will comply with the affordable housing requirement.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now what about the utility easement issue? Where are we with that?
Yeah, I guess that falls under my comment letter. My comment letter was basically addressed by their engineer, the exception of the easements needing to be worked out. That would be for the storm and the sewer connections through the adjoining property. So that would need to be a condition of any approval if they can't, work that out ahead of time now. Also just confirming that that piping is in sound condition and of sufficient size. They mentioned that they would do further inspection, TV inspection of the piping, and that would be subject to our review prior to a building permit. That can also be a condition. So, those two items could be handled conditionally. Otherwise, our other comments were, generally addressed. I did take a look on Google Earth, and the power lines are on that side of the road. They're along the curb line. So depending on how far back that tree is set, and, an oak tree obviously can get pretty large, maybe the species should be looked at, to keep it small.
Okay. Well, we're working with Robert Sherwood, our landscape architect. So we'll discuss that with him. Thank you.
You probably don't look up all that. So you'll go through the county
Yes.
memo and
Yeah.
get back to us on those issues. What else is on here? And you'll work with Anthony on the paving specifications.
Like to, yes.
And I mean, this is kind of new territory.
Mr.
so,
Chairman,
you're pioneers.
Chairman, on the paving and the question of impervious coverage, that's a zoning issue.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily an engineering issue.
Has to do with the
It's
coverage.
zoning, it's the definition of how impervious coverage is defined under zoning and how that would be calculated.
Okay, but we need advice on that it is technically
If-
going to work or meet specification, and then what maintenance is going to be required.
Their stormwater system does not depend on the permeable paving at all.
Yeah.
It's designed, their detention system is designed to completely capture all the surfaces, including the permeable surfaces.
That's
Right,
If-
but our
if
lot
Dan-
coverage is dependent upon
Right,
that.
right.
So
Now,
we
Dan
do
just-
need to verify.
Right, if the building inspector decides that a calculation is needed to show a certain amount of permeability to satisfy the definition of zoning, then I could weigh in on that.
Yes.
But that's all I'll say.
Yes,
Subject.
because the applicant's representative indicated that they were looking for zero runoff, but it isn't related to stormwater. In
It's
this case,
completely for a
it's the-
zoning
It's a
calculation.
zoning calculation that the pavement and the pavers are related to whether it meets the code in terms of
Impervious coverage.
impervious coverage at the property. So it's not that the runoff would be zero. It's the level of calculation to go into the formula to determine the coverage.
Understood, but we're, assuming you can get a technical document from the vendor or the manufacturer.
Yeah, I
We do
mean-
need somebody to review that.
So we have, the
No,
technical.
I understand that. I could look at that part of it. I just saying that, it's a little,
I understand
Convoluted.
it's not part of the stormwater management, yeah.
Well, I just want to say two things. One, with the concrete pavers, it's simple because, it's coming from a manufacturer, but the porous asphalt is not a commercial project. It's mixed on site and it's based on a certain amount of aggregate.
we
but
don't, we
have-
don't need to debate it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt you could show from an engineering standpoint that a porous surface could be equivalent to a green surface. Okay, that could be shown. All right, the question is, how does it satisfy the zoning definition of impervious cover? What is impervious? How much permeable, is it a percentage of open
Right, so the
space?
bo-
Is
the-
it, what is it?
Well, but I do think we need a technical document that says if they
Right.
mix the material this way, it's
All
gonna
I'm saying
be
is it's not complete, it's
pervious.
not just an engineering issue. It's a
Understood.
definite- There's a zoning definition.
No, I
there that has
understand,
to
right.
be
I think the
dealt with.
bottom line is the applicant right now is as their calculation that they put forth in the zoning table, has the full surface area of this porous pavement as 0% impervious coverage. And so you will need to demonstrate that, either that or you get variance from the zoning board of appeals for the asphalt area.
I understand, and I think the definition of pervious, the way that we were looking at it is from a stormwater point of view. And to your point, the stormwater system is designed to accommodate
Right.
even that surface, just to be conservative, because even though we are proposing a maintenance agreement to vacuum the surface, if that surface did become clogged, at least the stormwater system would. But we're looking at it from a stormwater point of view, but I don't know if that is the definition of, the village's definition of,
Yeah,
pervious.
that's,
Yeah.
I'll work with the building inspector.
okay,
There are two different issues.
Yes,
unfortunately,
right,
Just to
right.
make things
Okay.
extra complicated.
okay.
As far as the easements are concerned, can we at least verify where they're gonna go and that they're feasible? Obviously, if there are pipes under there, they must be feasible, but, we just need to know that there are not gonna be any surprise complications with that.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Andrew Cortese. So the existing pipe in the rear goes out through the easement of the neighbors. So there's two existing pipes there. We'll just confirm that we have the easements. We'll put them on the survey so that everybody can see them.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other technical issues regarding this, Dan? No? Members of the board? Questions, comments?
No, it's a good project.
Looks good.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to this application?
Do we have to open it?
We already did. I do it first thing because I forget.
Oh, here's Patty.
Patty, would you like to speak to that, please?
Patty Steinschneider, 329 Broadway, 3 houses away from this. Very much could be affected by this in the most wonderful way,
Oh.
which is that they're really taking an eyesore and a building that has been a real problem for a long time, and they're doing something very purposeful with it that's going to meet a lot of the other needs that we have in the community. So I wholeheartedly support this. I think it's great that they're doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I guess we continue this to the next meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, you want to make sure you enter a date certain into the record, please.
Okay, I move that we continue this to the next meeting, which is March 5th. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll see
See you
you
next
then.
month. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is pre-submission conference for 19 Livingston Avenue. Continuation of pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed 9-unit cluster development.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we just want to talk a little bit about where we are in this process, just really briefly before the applicant provides their presentation. So at this point in time, as you probably saw, both Anthony and I did not provide any consultant reviews because at this point, this board is still looking at the overall layout. Ultimately, this board, it will be providing a recommendation to the village board at the end of the day for the whole entire site plan and AHRB. But it would probably be helpful to the applicant that once a layout is finalized, that both the village board and planning board agree on that layout so that they can therefore do all the engineering, seeker review, and everything else that would be associated with this project.
Got it. And as I recall, our mandate from the Board of Trustees was to try and move the layout as far north as possible to create as much of a view in that area of the lake, of the river and the Palisades as possible.
Yes, I do recall that. And I wanted to go through and I'll show you our updated plans. I'm Christina Griffin, Principal CJ Studio. I'm here with two of the partners of the Livingston Development Group, Vic Saricchio and Adam Sokolich, and the civil engineer, Paul Petretti. I wanted to just quickly go back to where we were at the meeting in November, the joint meeting between the BOT and the planning board. We had shown very conceptual schemes, and this was the one you're looking at now was the one we first, oops, let me see, bring back a little bit. Okay, this was our first submission, and we know that since then we've done many schemes, but we gave kind of a summary of the schemes at the BOT Planning Board joint meeting. And this was a study that we did. We called this study 3, this is 2, and this is 1. And we chose this one to develop because these are just rectangular shapes. They're sort of a conceptual plan. And we developed this to see if we could kind of test out how much further we could move the units north. And these units are about 330 feet or so further north than the original submission. And as you see, that yellow area that we're concerned about, and we want to stay away from that, but we also want to maximize the view from the southeast corner from Livingston Avenue all the way through the site. So I'm going to take you now to our current plan. Okay. This is the plan we developed, and we met with the village consultants, Valerie Monastra and Anthony Oliveri. We also met with Lori Lee Dixon. She was at the meeting on December 30th just to get their input. We had a slightly different version of this plan. What we've done is we have pushed the units north on both sides, the 6 facing Livingston Avenue. They're now aligned with the street. There were multiple comments about aligning the units to create a street wall. So we've done that. We've also pushed the units together so they're only 6 feet apart. We also doing a space between these units so we can get 2,500 square foot lots to meet the cluster development code. We have 2 lots that are narrower than required. That's because we were pushing everything northward. The affordable housing unit was reduced by 3 feet to 20 feet wide, the property that unit's on. And then also unit 2 is slightly undersized and less than 2,500 square feet. This enabled us to push the units so that there's less length for the combined 6 units in the front. We also found out that we didn't need the fire truck turnaround, so that eliminated, they squeezed on that side, so we were able to push the units further north. So units 7, 8, 9 are now a little further north, and we pulled out the garages from 7 and 9. We did that because we wanted to reduce the size of these units so they were narrower, so that we could also reduce the overall length and increase the view through the site. The one-car garages you can look over because they're only 1 story high from Livingston Avenue. Uh, We increased the side yard setback. We doubled it to 20 feet. And if we angle the corner, we might be 22 feet here. And then this is where we ended up with increasing the view through the site. I want to show you the next slide, which actually compares our original plan to the current one. The pink shapes are the original staggered layout that we had. And the gray is is our updated plan. And you can see the difference in the view through the site. We have increased it by 4,611 square feet, which is 88%. By making all these changes, pushing the units north. This is us and making the changes in the width of the units. All of these, this plan was reviewed by our civil engineer, and he has looked at it carefully, and we are going to look at his report in a minute. This is as far north as he feels we can go with the buildings. This is just a zoning compliance chart. We're really working towards an as-of-right plan that complies with the Cluster Development Code. We meet all the requirements for number of dwelling units. And by the way, once you take the steep slopes away from the gross floor lot area, we are allowed 18 units. But we're building 9. We have an affordable unit. We meet the requirements for the amount of parking that is required for these units. Building coverage, impervious surface coverage, the width of the townhouse lots. The area is where 2 out of the 9 are undersized. They're on the north. They're in the unit 2 and unit 5 because of what I explained before. So we can increase the space on the south side, and we meet all the setbacks as well. We have to look at, I just wanted to touch on the floor plans because we did change the floor plans to see if we can reduce the width of the units. We're able to do that because only in some units because of the affordable housing unit has only a single car garage below. The units on the back all have single car garages, but they're pulled to the sides. I also want to point out that if we go with this layout, we can provide an ADU, which helps to diversify the type of units on the site. So the ADU can be a space under those single car garages. This is just an elevation preliminary that shows that the units in the front, the ones that are closer together, only 6 feet apart, and that's so that the 2 units that are near each other, number 3 and 4, have 2,500 square foot lots. The unit 5 is affordable housing, which is now unit, which is now a 20-foot wide building. And then in the back, we reduced the width of the 7 and 9 and pulled out the garages, which you can see from the elevations I've done here, sections through the site, that when you're looking from the sidewalk through the site, this section is taken through the driveway. You can see over the 1-story garage. And then if you're looking through the site the other way from the public viewing platform, which we're planning to provide, and it's a widened area of the sidewalk, you can see right over that garage. So the garage is in the view. I have now just an image of taken out of the engineer's report. And because that is really so much determines how far the buildings can go north, I wanted to ask Paul Petretti if you could come up and just talk about that.
So, y'all asked me to put a report together and try to give you an idea what's going on here, okay? And, I've been with this thing for years, about 20 years now, okay? Through, these design phases, and also worked on 19 Livingston, which is adjacent, okay, and then 33, okay. And so, basically, this to me really is about constructability, okay, because you have very good soil down very deep, okay. We have borings, okay, even had a boring in the back of 19 Livingston, okay, and so you have virgin soil. It's down about, so the road is at 105. The plateau behind the wall in the front is elevation 100. Okay, and then you go all the way down to the condos below. Okay, and that's about elevation 50. So you have a very you have a steep slope. It was filled. Okay, it was filled as far as I can tell around even before 1964. But I have records and information back to 1964, in which I can get a surface then and a surface, and I could, come up with where I think the virgin soil is. So the virgin soil is down there, maybe about, it's not level because it was always sloping. And so it's down about 48 feet, to elevation 48. So it varies, okay, from the northerly side of the site, okay, to the southerly side, which is, maybe 100 feet, okay, and it's way down there. And they evidently they filled it, and they filled it with soil, and then they armored it with rock, okay, and it's been stable, okay. There was a period of time when they had very high retaining walls there in the patio. And during the period of time of the windows on the Hudson application, I was not the engineer of record, but I knew the guy, and I said, listen, you got to take those retaining walls down. So we took all those retaining walls down, and so what we have now is they're gone, okay? And you have a very steep area that goes down to the condos below. Okay, so, a lot of people ask me, so this was a hypothetical. Let's say I was to cut, okay, on the north side of the site and go all the way down, then I have to put a retaining wall in. So it was really that's just to demonstrate the height of the wall you'd have to put in, which is really a very high wall. But the reality of the matter is that steep slope is stable now. It's actually been, the lower part of it is maintained partially by the condos below. And also, by now, that the county trunk sewer comes through there, and it's really down there at the bottom where the condos are. So you should really stay away from that as far as ways as you can. So the site, kind of worked for me because we brought the road in on the right side. Don't put heavy loads over there. Put the houses on the south side, and we can deal with it. But one thing I'd like you to understand is that, this is all about, to me, it's about constructability, okay? This is a very narrow site, and you're going to be taking out 30 feet of fill. You're going to take that fill, and you're going to put it on the high side, segregate it, go through it, okay, mix it up, soil and rock, make something that you could use for fill. And you're going to be doing a very deep excavation. The site's not that wide. You're going to have a hole 30-foot deep. You can't have a hole 30-foot deep across the whole site. You need places to store stuff. So you could take the material out, segregate it, mix it up, okay, put it up along the roadside. And you also need to have access to 19. 19, the house next immediate north, has an easement over us, okay, over the property. So you have very little area to work. Take a really, really deep hole, and you gotta work on the site. You got the equipment there and everything. So, two things. You really don't want to disturb the slope that's looking down towards the condo below. You just don't want to touch it. Leave it alone to the best of your ability. You could probably go down about 10 feet, and that's about it. And then put another intermediate wall in there. But it's not easy to do, okay, because you have this gaping hole in the ground. So if there was a picture up there that showed the yellow box. So that yellow box, okay, relative to site, the units 7, 8, and 9, somehow you're gonna have to hold that up, okay? And it's a very deep excavation. And then work on the southerly side and try to get down to the Virgin, okay, or down to a plateau, okay? And it's like this, it's a very steep excavation. How are you gonna hold it up? So, you know, you've arrived at a plan that has moved the buildings to the north, and I can tolerate it, okay? And that's it. It's all about constructability.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, you've had a chance to look at this, right? Want to speak to
Sure.
your efforts?
Yeah, I reviewed the letter report submitted by Mr. Petretti, and the exhibits. I think what's, really illustrative of, the problem they have is is a profile. I don't know if you could put that up on the screen, maybe that'll help. There was a profile that he provided that really, it demonstrates the proximity mainly of the county sewer, county trunk sewer, essentially at the toe of the slope of the virgin ground, and also kind of demonstrates the depths of the fill material in that upper corner. You should have that. It was up before, but
Have it on the screen.
yeah. So yeah, the letter talks about the depth of fills 35 to 47 feet deep. That's supported by the geotechnical reports, the historic reports that they've submitted. The proximity of that trunk line is really limiting to how far you want to be at the edge of that slope. He did show a hypothetical building position. You could see how, close that is to the trunk line. The county will have to review anything here, whether it was a building or even just the grading plan that's proposed. Because it is going to disturb, slopes above the trunk line, which they're going to be nervous about that. They spoke about the difficulty driving piles, needing to be likely in excess of about 140 feet. One thing that I just wanted to make clear, and which I clarified with Mr. Petretti in several conversations, the fill in that corner would not be removed. If you remove that fill, you're going to destabilize the slope. The northwest corner has a very steep area that currently has a stabilized vegetated surface that's being maintained by, I guess, the adjacent property owner. That is almost directly above the county trunk line. I think the two properties to the north, I think it's 29 and 33, have retaining walls along that north property line, which a deep excavation is going to affect those. It's going to undermine those walls. So to me, they've kind of reasonably demonstrated, the difficulties here. I don't like to say anything's impossible in the world of engineering, but reasonable for this type of development and for someone who's going to develop this property. I wouldn't be comfortable pushing building construction into that corner. I think it's risky enough. It's going to be difficult enough grading that and just doing lower walls in that corner. So I'm in general agreement with his findings in that letter.
And so the proposed plan that they have now is doable.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of hard, there's no perfect box that we have to stay out of here. It's more, proximity to that corner, the county trunk line kind of goes through at an angle there and it gets closer to that northwest corner.
Mhm.
And that's really going to be the key thing to stay away from. And the, you know, the real, if you look at the grading, you get a very steep kind of almost gully in that corner that starts happening. And that leads right into the adjoining properties to the northwest. And like I said, it would, you know, nothing's impossible. You know, we could dig out the entire site. We could rebuild the county trunk line. I think the trunk line actually goes under a building to the north. I don't know how that happened, but like I said, anything would be subject to the county reviewing it. They'll want to see, you know, these reports and all this information, just in terms of the added surcharge from just leveling the fill in the proximity. So, like I said, I'm in general agreement with staying away from that corner to some degree.
Okay, thank you.
When was that trunk line installed?
I think Mr. Petretti might have that information.
The
Probably about
WPA
100 years old.
Once Parkinson's administration.
30s?
Probably in the thirties.
Yeah.
I think the record drawings are 1930. It probably built about 1937.
So are
Pretty warped and,
the drawings of record accurate?
oh yeah.
Are they, okay.
The county maintains pretty accurate
Okay.
stuff. They have actually profiles of all that sewer line all through there.
I did the sewer map for the village of Top Third. We located it.
Good.
And it's within, you know, it's in an easement, 16 feet wide.
Mm.
Of course, we couldn't locate the ones down there, but we did locate the one that's immediate to the north at the bottom of the slope behind 33 Livingston, that manhole's visible. We located that and many others, and between that, the county maps, and they're very good, okay, and elevation wise too. Very good.
That's good.
Very nice set of drawings. How they built it, 1930s.
So I appreciate
Tough guys.
all your efforts to get us here. I do have a couple of comments about this new version. One is, I know the units 7, 8, and 9 have been lowered a little bit and there's an adjacent garage. However, you still can't see over them from the street as far as I can tell from your drawings. The second comment I have is we have a 20-foot gap with the street being something like 200 feet away. Now that arc is, I don't know, not even 10 degrees. That's going to be our view. And the last one is, if this is going to be a cluster development, they're open up all sorts of options. I mean, we could talk about a multi-story residential building in the northeast corner, on the northeast corner of the property. There are a number of possible solutions to get the number of units that are being sought after, and perhaps even more, by using a different building structure. So I just wanted to bring those issues up and ask if
First
you've
of all,
talked about them or looked at them.
To answer your question, we have a section through the site that had shows that when you look at the section that runs through, hold on, this north, I call it the north elevation, this is section through the driveway.
Mhm.
You will, when you're at the elevation on the sidewalk at eye view, you will be looking over the garage. And the reason why we pulled the garages out is to make the 2-story, 2.5-story part of the townhouse narrower. And then on the south elevation, there's just section through the site starting at Livingston Avenue, the sidewalk there, where we have that viewing platform. Once you're looking out, you will see, there's a line here with an arrow, you will see right over the 1-story garage because it's so far below. This driveway is about 1 story below the grade at the front of units 1 through 6. And there's like another 1-story drop to the backyards of the units 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, but if I draw a line from the corner of unit 1 through the corner of unit 9, it doesn't go over that garage. There's no, the garage is not in the view shed, except for looking at the side of unit 9. So I don't think that lower garage, from what I can tell, is helping us out here. It's helping out the people in units 2 and 3,
Right.
but it's not helping the public from the street.
Well, it's not, it would not block any views, because when you're up on Livingston, you'll be looking, probably, you're like 8 feet above that. You're way over the roof of that garage. Actually, the reason why we did that was we were really working hard on the architectural end of things to see if we could reduce the overall length of the units. And once you go below 23 feet wide, you can no longer fit a garage. Not even in the back, you have to have an entrance to the townhouse and then the garage. But once you reduce it less than that, you can't fit the garage in. And then I thought the benefit to the garage on the side is that you can do an ADU, which gives you more diverse units. If you look at the site plan though, going back to it, you will, when you're looking from the sidewalk, you will look, I mean, the garage is kind of tucked in here, but it's still, way below the level of the sidewalk up here. The roof is about 8 feet below.
Is there some reason why, since the issue is like how far north we can go before we hit the black box? Figuring out the garage, let's assume that there's some solution to that. Is there some reason why units 7, 8, and 9 aren't moved up to the north edge of what you're showing as the one-car garage, in the interest of getting the units as close to what because the black box has been shown differently on different schemes. So, I mean, I realize a one-story garage is not anything like a unit, a multi-story unit in terms of the load. But I'm wondering why those units aren't pushed further
Oh,
north.
well, we would probably eliminate the garage if we did that, but every time we make a change, it goes to Paul just for him to take a look at it, because it's not as big a footprint, but we would have to have him take a look at that.
That's another 18 feet of view shed in the south edge.
It would double it.
Yeah.
So, the
I'm
black
sorry.
box,
I'm sorry.
when I represented the black box on there,
This
it's
one.
really an area that I said that you could put lightly loaded things. In other words, you could put a concrete slab, we carry a dumpster pad, we carry pad for the telecommunications, and that's it, okay? Very light, basically a feather, okay? When you look at that yellow box, okay, the yellow box really represent where those units are, okay? This is not the one with the garage, but it's close enough, okay? Where those units are, you're gonna have a gaping hole in the ground when you excavate down, you take the material out, put it up on the north side of the site, segregate it, like I said, mix it up, then put it back and build these retaining walls. You're gonna have a hole in the ground, okay, that's 25, 30 feet deep. You're gonna have to put what they call a pressure reducing, okay, temporary wall system in to hold that yellow box. Okay, but actually the yellow box is gonna be steep, just 5 feet off of the foundation or 7, okay? So envision, you look down you're looking at a hole in the ground, okay? It's a very deep hole. So we haven't talked about constructability up until now, but now I felt it's necessary to talk about that.
But
So, probably going further north with the units is really getting to the point where it's getting very difficult.
I appreciate that. I guess what I'm saying is, in this scheme, the 3 units in the back are further north than the plan by a unit dimension approximately than what the latest plan was submitted. Those 3 units there are about a unit with dimension further up than in the plan that was submitted because of the garage, I guess.
Well, listen, I'm talking about, can we move it 5 inches? Can we move it 10 inches? That's what we're talking about.
No, but I'm saying this plan respecting the yellow box, is the units are further north than they are on what's been submitted
Okay. There is another.
by about 18 feet, I
Yeah,
guess.
I think there's another drawing that I had submitted. We have many, many drawings, okay, that compared the original design that was done from day one, okay?
Yeah, you submitted that.
Yeah,
It's your
it's there, okay?
option of lots. It's called.
Optional lots, yeah, if you look at that. What are we looking at?
We're looking for that.
Robert, you done or?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else on the board have questions or comments they want to bring up?
I have a question. The public viewing platform, I love that direction you're going. And just overlooking the common gardens, are the common gardens will they be open to the public?
Would they,
Would the public accessible?
they're actually intended to be shared by the residents, and there would be some limitation on the height of any vegetation, so they would never go above, block the views from the public viewing platform, but it's not intended to be accessible to the public.
Okay, so the public viewing platform, there's a wall there the public would walk up to. Is that, I see a
On
line.
the sidewalk.
Yes, because the sidewalk and the wall that's there has to be rebuilt. So the idea is that we're going to there is a high wall there, we're going to bring it down so that it's only about 42 inches above the platform. And it's going to be a curved and widened area. It's about 50 feet long so that the public could come and look out through the site.
Thank you. Okay.
So, if no one else has any comments on the board, I mean, I still feel like this doesn't meet a number of zoning code sections here. However, the board asked us to do the best we could to get there. So I think, before we lock in a footprint for the project, I'm going to recommend that we have another workshop with the Board of Trustees to make sure that everyone's on the same page before you spend more time on engineering and design and all that. And perhaps the board may bring up the Board of Trustees may bring up additional issues that they would like looked at. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, can I just ask Christine and Paul one question? Is there some reason in the plan that's shown now, just to go back to this issue of the garage, is there some reason why the 3 units could not be that additional, like that unit 7 couldn't occupy the space that is currently taken up by the garage? Because it seems like the black box has just actually gotten bigger and bigger. In this scheme, like the black box seems like it's bigger than it was even in the beginning. So I'm wondering, is there a scheme where it's more or less what you have, but the 3 units are displaced by that dimension of the garage?
We have done many, many schemes. So we are trying to reduce the number, but every layout we've done, this layout is reviewed by Paul. And I was actually expecting him to say that one car garage won't even work there. So I wasn't even sure he would accept that. But there's been a collaboration here to see how far north we can go. And because he's a licensed engineer, and he's the one who's determining this, and I need to work with him. And so to even look at that, we need to discuss it with Paul. Also don't know if we did that because unit 1 limits the view in the front. I don't know if by putting 9 where that garage is, how much you open that view. Because when you're standing up at the sidewalk, you're still hitting the corner of unit 1.
So,
It would-
you know,
it would
I
be the-
haven't gone into great detail about the foundations, but where the 3 units are, 7, 8, and 9, they go all the way down, all the way up with fill, okay? And I'm probably gonna put basements in 7, 8, 9 to lessen the load, you know, on the material flow. I'm putting these units on fill. It could be done, okay? It's unusual, right? So I'm putting them on fill, so I want to lighten the load. Later on, I can come back and put the garage in. Basically the garage is a feather. Okay, it's a bird feather on the fill. I don't have to build a full foundation under the garage. Wonderful. Okay, so where Christina has them now, workable, again, the yellow box is the real box, okay? The black box is just where you put very light loads, but the yellow box, okay, on the edge of the 7 is gonna be an excavation that's down 25 feet deep.
But Paul, I agree.
Challenge.
I'm not, you know the stuff in that, but I'm just saying, the units right now are further south than even the yellow box by about
You'd have to
17
have
or
to
18.
throw the yellow box on that drawing. Understand it, but like I said, what do you do? You play like 8 feet, 2 feet, I don't know.
Well, no, I agree, 2 feet, but if it was 17, you know,
Listen,
the
my
garage.
issue is constructability. All of this, very sure that whatever Christina puts together is gonna be pretty sweet. My issue is how I'm gonna build this thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Matter. Okay? And the liability is a risk that I have to take on as an engineer.
Got it.
Rob, I think at that angle, you're not gaining the full width. You're gonna basically get to the corner of that second unit, I think in your thinking.
No.
So you're gonna get maybe that, in that scenario, you'd get maybe 8 feet more, something like that, to that corner, I'm thinking, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I understand.
at the angle that they're situated.
All right, the board members, okay with, scheduling another workshop with the Board of Trustees about this?
I'm okay.
Okay, Dan, can you set that up and
Yes.
let us know when their next availability
Yep.
is? Okay. As far as your homework is concerned, if you could just double check, make sure that you've maximized what Paul's available with and, maybe give us a arc angle of what that view shed would look like. I mean, right now, my Google is telling me it's 6 degrees, not even, so that's not a great view shed. So I think we should nail down exactly what that should be.
I'm also going to suggest in terms of the discussion for a joint board meeting that Christina, I would suggest that since this box, the black box that we keep referring to,
Yes.
if maybe you can have those in all the different layout drawings, just on the drawing itself, so that way everyone can understand, shifting of buildings one way or the other, or whether it's going to intrude on that.
How do we establish that box? I
That's
guess
the
that's the
question.
question. It's
Right.
not-
That's why it's not there, only on
You
the
try anything.
conceptual plans, because I've been told they really don't know until they're excavating how much is that really risky part of the site.
So then I think that's part of the
Yeah, I
issue
mean,
that.
I don't know that there's a definitive line here.
Right.
Necessarily. You'd have to take each scenario, maybe the best way to look at it is with like a profile view and see the proximity and how the slopes work and how far away you're getting from the trunk line and so forth. To kind of, I doubt the box is a perfect rectangle. So I
I'm
think
sure
it's more looking at it that way. I mean, I think, if I was looking at it, I'd do something like, I don't know if you couldn't find that profile, but the profile showing, the hypothetical building with the slopes and the fills and the county trunk line in relation to it. then you're gonna see really how close you're getting, and how impactful it's gonna be. And I mean, that's the way I would look at it, but, you know, and that's gonna be a very irregular shape, really, if you looked at it at every cross section, I think. You know, that's feasible, you know, but, you know, so I think they have to look at it. I don't think it would be my place to say you could put a building there or not. I think they have to analyze it, say why they, or, you know, produce something that's gonna show that it's not a good idea to do it.
I'm only saying that because I think, while I love the idea of a joint meeting with BOT, that's gonna be question one again. And I
Right,
can
I-
imagine us sitting around the
Right, I guess
table.
that's the reason
eight
why
of
I
us
was
and
bringing
said,
it up,
and
right?
going-
If it's, we can't get into the black box, but then we don't know where the black box
Right,
is.
so I don't,
So
in a
you're
way, I
in a
feel like
circle.
until that is, if we can't figure out a way to come to closure around the no-build area, because I accept the idea that there's this corner up there that we can't build. But if we don't have some way to clinch that, then we're just going, I don't see the point in more meetings with the BOT. Michael, do you wanna? Yes,
Please. Michael Patino, Board of Trustees. If I recall correctly, and what I would advise the other board members, is that we were most interested in having a little more thorough analysis through soil borings and a report by you, which would then be assessed by our village engineer. And because, you know, me and personally, and I'm sure everyone else on the board just doesn't understand the nuance of this issue. And what I heard tonight was that you have looked more thoroughly at this. You've submitted a report to Mr. Oliveri, and he generally concurs with the findings. I think there's some, you know, my take on this is that it is a judgment call by the applicant. And I think his argument is relatively reasonable. I think that's been looked at by our engineer, and he feels that that's fair. And so I don't know that we're going to want to look at a made up box. I think we're going to generally rely on the professionalism of the applicant to be honest and forthcoming. And if things change in the field when they start to excavate and that line moves, they'll be back to you. But I don't know that there's a whole lot for us to assess beyond this. So I don't know what we would do in a joint meeting.
I mean, I have a suggestion. I mean, I think what we're after here, since it's a gateway view that was listed in the vision plan, is how can we maximize, how can we invite the public to this, you know, to still enjoy this view in some way? And like I said, I appreciate that you put in the viewing platform there, but what if the blue area was open to the public? So they could walk to they could walk over and see the entire,
That's a liability, probably.
well, it's, I mean, are there other ways to give the village something for it, in exchange for removing the view that they've had for, on this property, and it's considered a gateway view? So, it's a horse trading game, and maybe there's something else you can do. I don't know, you guys agree?
no, I don't know, I appreciate that the applicant is gonna, that's tricky.
Maybe there's a deck you build out over the,
I'm wondering if that arch shape by the sidewalk, is that a wall that's into the property a bit?
yeah, it's a curved
Provide that?
wall.
Is that what that is?
Yes. Anthony, could you
There's
show me
an
where?
arched shape where the
Yes.
viewing platform,
Right.
is that a wall that's into the property?
Yes.
To allow?
Yes,
the
we
sidewalk
are
to-
using some of this property for the public because the sidewalk's being rebuilt and giving a place, a shape that feels like a comfortable space for people to go up and look over either the railing or a low wall. I know we talked about it in the past, and I'm not sure if it seemed like you're not interested in this conversation, but we are, I know the owners are talking to the people at Cabrini to take the wall that continues and is connected to this wall. So that wall can also be lowered, because right now you can't look over it. It's not on their property, but that would really increase the view and also give you this continuity of a
Yes,
lower
I think
wall.
that would be
Yeah.
another way to get at this, to a agreeable solution. But you'd have to show us something that you're showing us agreement or,
Well, we can. In fact, they were going to come tonight. They may come next meeting. Cabrini, they are really interested in helping out with this project.
the more you can invite
Right.
the public into that area to see the view. I mean, if they could walk past that first row of buildings that are on Livingston, then, the view would open up for them. So it's just, what other ideas can you do besides moving the buildings around?
Also, that if you look at the shape of the property, 'cause what we kind of have a lot of things that are making this hard to do, the shape of the site itself,
Mm.
because it angles northward, but that and the Cabrini property actually wraps around this corner here.
Mhm.
Well, if we could find a way to maintain the vegetation on both sides of the property so it stays low, doesn't block the view, I think is something we could look into.
Yeah.
Is,
Thinking out of the black box.
yeah, I wonder if I could ask one other thing. There is a kind of a grand plan, who knows if it'll ever happen? It might, probably won't ever happen, of linking the properties that are along here. As you already know, St. Chris is being redeveloped. We're gonna be asking them for this. Cabrini, maybe they'll be there forever, maybe they won't. But there's an idea that at some point, there could be a trail connection because the Hudson River Greenway idea, which can't go along the tracks, that there would be a connecting path that would go through these properties. And of course, ultimately it would wind up in Livingston Ridge, and you'd have to get them to agree to let people out onto their property, which I'm sure they would love. But I feel like is it possible for this conservation easement to include a kind of cross-access like trail easement, so that if in the future there is actually the possibility of linking all these properties along like where the Hudson is, then this would be one of those pieces. I guess the applicant has to think, but that in terms of giving back to the public, that would be, I don't know if it'll ever happen, right? Because it depends on all the other properties ultimately agreeing to have that kind of connection, but
Well,
it is something that in the current comprehensive plan revision, we're trying to make happen.
I have thought about it a lot, but I don't know if
I mean, I was.
I think, I don't know, something that hasn't been part of the project, because, but, I just want to point out that the easiest way to get to the river is, because it's shorter, it's on this end than up here, than here. This is not even their property, you have to go, it's not so easy to go this way, but,
Yeah, I wouldn't specify where it is exactly. I would just, if it was possible for one of the conditions of this to include a possible trail that would go across the property. I don't know, Paul, do you?
We are only at the very beginning of this process. Like, we haven't even started seeker or anything. So I think something like that can be dealt with as we get through the process. I mean, we are really at the very, very beginning. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
Even though I know we're looking at layouts, but like, we really are at the very beginning of this process.
Because the Board of Trustees at the joint meeting charged you with maximizing, in terms of the layout, the ability to maximize that view shed. So unless you could reassure the Board of Trustees this is the best possible under the circumstances, or you could ask for that joint meeting just to get a confirmation, get a head bob. But you really do want at some point to pull the trigger and allow Mr. Petretti to do the engineering and for the technical part of it to actually be designed. Right now, you're still looking at layout. and the Board of Trustees has the ultimate decision, but they had asked you in your review to see if you could get a layout that maximized that view shed. So if you believe that you have achieved that, or, you know, I don't know what your consensus is, but it would be important to get the Board of Trustees head bob, and then you could.
Well, that would be my question is
Yeah.
how, so I'm fairly convinced this is the best we're gonna do with 9 townhomes. But the Board of Trustees may say, well, we only want 7, or we want a residential building or something like that. I mean, there are a lot of different options for this property. This is only one of them.
Right.
So I guess we would want some kind of, can we just send a letter to the Board of Trustees and say, you know, this is where we are. Do you want us to proceed based on this? Or, you know, and we'll go to do our technical thing. Or no, we want you to look at these other possible scenarios. Can we just do it by letter instead of a workshop?
Well, you could have a representative from the planning board to attend a workshop just to get the head bob. And certainly the applicant's anxious to get started with the actual design, and
We don't want them to waste their money, but we want to keep
Right.
it moving.
you want to keep them moving and be sensitive to that. So I don't really know what the Board of Trustees would prefer, whether they want an opportunity to discuss it further, or whether you're saying this is the best that has been presented of all the options. And
In the last workshop, one of the comments from a trustee was, why 9 units? And there were some head bobbing on that, so
right.
there's still 9 units, so.
Right,
where do we
but
go?
the property under zoning can actually fit 18 units when you subtract all the stuff out. Now, they've chosen a townhouse design, which is their druthers, but as you know, and I think as you mentioned earlier, the code in a cluster scenario opens it up to a multifamily single building or 2 and 3 family houses. I mean, there are many ways to skin the cat, but the applicant is choosing this townhouse design at this layout, and that was what you were charged to do, is to get from the applicant the maximization for that view shed. So I don't know if you're done now with the analysis of this as being the best possible under the circumstances, and you'd like to send it back. And certainly having the applicant's representative and maybe a representative from the planning board come to a workshop. We could put it on for that reason and say, here's what we've come up with. The applicant assures us this is the best possible to meet what you asked us to do. I don't know if you need to notice and have the whole board attend, but you certainly, if you would like, and you could certainly poll the board and take a vote on whether this has meet the charge and whether you want to send it back in some way. So the applicant has a chance to present this as the best option.
I personally don't think it's ready to send back to the Board of Trustees. I think they can do better in some fashion.
Well, I mean, I think it's a good solution, but as far as the shed, you know, the view shed of how important that is to the village, I think maybe it could have another look.
What does that look like for them, though?
Yes.
I mean, you have to give them, you know, some
Guidance.
guidance, how that's gonna look, and I don't see, you know, with this arrangement of buildings, I don't see them doing more than nibbling here and there.
Well, I think that for me, it seems like the biggest issue is that the number where the unit 1 is obstructing the most view. Is that correct?
I don't think so. I think it's really the unit 9 that's the biggest problem, but, you know, from where you turn the corner, but both of those are blocking the view, yeah.
Unit 9 is. Oh, I see. Other
No.
unit 9.
Could I address the idea of a multifamily building?
Mhm.
Because, I've designed so many projects on the street. I've worked on, I think, 6 properties, designed 2 houses. And I actually love the neighborhood, and I do appreciate the big, beautiful Victorians, and also the next one next door was one big house. Now it's 5 units. I worked on that. And it looks just like one of the big houses. And, but then there are 2-family and 3-family houses. And and there's little spaces, there's some big spaces, small spaces between the buildings. Most of them are 2.5 stories high. But up an apartment building just seems to me just aesthetically, in terms of scale and massing, is never going to fit this neighborhood. And it's something that I don't know if I would ever have considered that as an option. So, even though the view is of utmost importance, it's very clear to everyone. I just don't see that as an option, really. I don't think it's really inappropriate for this neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, Cabrini is right next door.
You want another Cabrini, though? I think that is an exception. This has a really nice neighborhood feel, and we want to continue that feeling with smaller buildings that are 2.5 stories, some spaces in between. So, there's a lot of variables, there's a lot of options to look at, but we want to have a really good design as a whole. And, I don't think the multifamily is a good idea. That's my opinion, and I'm not sure if I'd be in really, we want to work on a project if we were going to do that. I think it would be a real change to this neighborhood.
So I'm still confused about how we go forward here.
Well, I mean,
I think we need guidance from the Board of Trustees
Right.
in some form.
Yes,
Whether we do it in a workshop and let you present the newest version, or we just send the information and with our questions. Michael, do you have a preference? Since it's landing on your
Make a
desk.
suggestion so we can get past this impasse. Could we have this, with whatever adjustments you're already planning to make and maybe a little more documentation? We could have this on either a joint session, or we could bring it to our workshop. I would just say that we will work with Dan and the administrator to try to get this on sooner rather than later. And if that's just it coming to our workshop and maybe a couple members can join, it is nice if we can have a joint meeting, because then you can all hear what everyone can hear what everyone else has to say. So we'll try to do that. We'll try to do it quickly. I don't know what is on the upcoming agenda, but we'll talk to the crew and try to.
It may not need the full hour or two, maybe.
I
we
don't
could
think
use
so.
half of
Not
one
at
of
this
your
point. I
works.
think we got a full understanding of it last time. There's a few issues that we wanted to look at. So let's do that sooner rather than later, and then we can
Okay.
Okay,
move one way or another.
you set that up for us?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll speak
great,
to
thank
Rob
you.
in the morning.
All right, anything else? We have a path forward?
Just want to understand, so you're expecting from us now, multiple separate living buildings?
No,
No,
no.
we're gonna have the Board of,
We just want you to present your optimal, your best design with
Layout.
what all the additional information that's been requested this evening.
And I think keep in mind, optimizing the view, and it's not necessarily moving the buildings around. It's maybe putting the people who are getting the view closer to the river.
It's pretty tight down there. I'm not sure how
Well,
realistic that is.
it's just, a way to guarantee that villagers can get a view.
Increase the size of the viewing platform? I don't understand. Oh, no.
That's, I mean, if in a perfect world, you'd say, this is the view you want to preserve, and you build a building to accentuate the view in some way. They did that in ancient Rome, lots of places, but you'd spend it, it's your money, and you gotta, you would want to try to get some of it back, so.
2 days a week, 12.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so we have a path forward?
Yeah.
We know what we're doing?
So are you suggesting increase the size of the viewing platform as it's shown here?
I'm suggesting trying to get
Some
of-
creative ideas.
to guarantee a view that villagers can get a view.
Okay,
And whatever it takes,
okay.
maybe it's not the buildings, maybe you build a viewing platform or something, but I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right, let's move on.
And we'll get it scheduled for the joint, would you like a joint meeting with a quorum of the planning board and a quorum of the,
Yes.
Yeah, I
yes,
think that, all right.
we'll get that scheduled then.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael. The next item on the agenda is 44 Sherman Avenue, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed enclosure of 2 porches. We have anyone to present this project?
Well, that's interesting.
I think-
Is there somebody online?
Yeah, Christine is promoting.
Okay. Exactly that. Let me just sit back.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Hi, my name's Steve Seacon. I'm the architect working with the homeowners, the Rowan family at 44 Sherman. And the project before you pales in comparison to what you were just reviewing. It is basically the enclosure of 2 30-square-foot porches for a family that's just moved in that needs a little bit more room to accommodate a mudroom and a pantry off of the kitchen. Should I share my screen?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Just for orientation's sake, the property is located on a corner of Walker Avenue and Sherman Avenue. The golf course is over there from Northbrook. And at the south end of the property is where there are 2 small unenclosed porches at the moment. And what the owner is seeking to do is just capitalize on the footprint, add these 2 enclosures, and basically, let me see if I can show you a small picture. Can you see the view of the photograph?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is all we're talking about. Enclosing these, adding similar windows, double hung windows, and changing this climber basically into a entrance similar to what is over here at the moment. Similar materials, no change in coverage since we would be taking away part of a path and adding a small stoop here to get in.
The facade is currently stucco.
Correct. And
And the
everything
new-
is
The new structure would be the same stucco?
correct. Same color, same texture.
The building department would be okay with, if you'd like to waive the site plan approval and just look at the AHRB on this one.
Yeah.
Do we have to waive it? Is it actually a change in footprint?
It's 10 feet, it's going the total thing,
Okay.
so, yes.
It's just filling in those two corners.
Yeah.
It's not, the footprint isn't
You
provided.
can't see it from the street.
Yeah, we're
I'm
good.
fine with waiving and
Yeah.
approving this, doing the AHRB approval now if
Yes.
everyone else is.
Yeah.
I am too.
No
Looks
comments? Any
No.
concerns from
Nice neighborhood.
you, Valerie, or?
It's a nice project.
Okay, then I move that we waive site plan approval for this project. Do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Valerie, you have a resolution?
Yes, I do. Whereas the applicant is seeking architectural and historic review approval to construct two porches. Now, the property is located at 44 Sherman Avenue. Now therefore be resolved, the AHRB, the Village of Dobbs Ferry, determines that based upon the reasonings and set forth below, the application is approved, granted, subject to the following conditions, and it specifically has the plan sets last revised January 8th, 2026.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have to come back for the March
For
5th?
No,
architectural?
that was the
No.
architect.
That was the
You're
architectural.
good to go. Just
We're
work
good.
with the building department.
Okay, much
That's
much
it.
appreciated. Thank you.
Have a
You're
good night.
welcome.
That's a busy
Have a-
screen.
Have a good night.
There's a busy desktop there.
I've seen worse.
Thank you.
My
Mine's
son,
not that much
have you
better.
seen your son's desktop?
Okay, the next item on the agenda is 103 Main Street, pre-submission conference for site plan approval for proposed replacement of exterior porch and staircase on the rear building with a new steel and concrete structure.
Good evening, if it's still evening. I've got 3% left on my battery, so I'm gonna go kind of quick. Patty Steinsteiner, Gotham Design, representing the owners of 103 Main Street. This is, I think, a fairly straightforward project. The location is downtown. I think you know where 103 is, right at the base of Elm. This is the two-story building that you see right there. On the back of it, if I get around to there, is a wood set of stairs and platforms that has, it is done. It is really in bad shape. It needs to be replaced. This is a matter of health, safety. It's important to do. We recommended to our client that they do it out of steel and concrete, simply because we have learned over the years that that tends to stand up better. So here, you can see the views of the building. Just a couple of shots to show you the context of what's back there. I don't think it has a lot of public concern, but at the same time, we wanted to make it interesting. First thing we tried to suggest to our clients, to add another story on top, maybe another two. So we did some renderings and ideas on that, but that's not before you this evening. We actually got to this, which is two platforms with the staircase, very light coming up to it, easy access, nicer area outside. We kind of give you all the drawings, existing conditions, where we're building this and how it gets built. And then elevations, it's, we're making it intentionally look like a construction. It's not trying to pretend that it's something else, but I think that in and of itself will have a nice feel. And it'll be a great spot to sit outside and look towards the west, where they can see their view of the river, which is much smaller than what they have at Rudy's. So I think that's pretty much everything that you would need to know. Oh, also, storm drainage, an issue came up. John Stone was asking why, if the deck and stairs are covering a bigger area, why we aren't increasing the impervious surface. And basically the entire property is paved. And then there was the issue of what about stormwater? And there is an existing system that's doing a fairly good job. So instead of tearing something up and making something worse, we figured it works fairly well as it is. And I don't think we're affecting it in any way.
So that all sounds good, Patty. My only concern is I'd love to be convinced that it's not like an industrial solution to a residential building.
Right.
Do you have anything you can show me that would alleviate my concerns in that
Well,
regard?
other ones we've done in Dobbs, 26, 24 Main Street, construction in the back. We've done a number of steel structures like that. It's not, I mean, it's an elegantly done steel structure. It's not something that looks like somebody banged something together. So it's, you know, it's welded, so you get smooth transitions from your angled piece to your horizontal. I think it's gonna be good looking. We've done it a lot.
Okay, and the decks are gonna be concrete?
Yeah,
And is it painted or?
yeah, it's painted, everything's painted black. It's metal. And there's nothing there that's not metal. We do have lighting on the back. We showed the lighting in the plans. It's all, you know, dark sky responsible and, you know, has kind of neat modernist feel. I mean, I'd love to see this lead them to thinking of more activity on their property. And this could be the connection to, you know, even another building behind it that would have like 3 stories and 6 units or something like that.
But your battery's running out.
Yes, it certainly is.
So's ours.
Yeah.
We would be okay with waiving this also, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry?
Would be okay with waiving the site plan on this also.
Okay, now, but the building isn't black, right? So you're gonna paint this metal black? I mean,
Yeah.
we're back to my,
The building
what can we
is
do to
gray.
make it look nice on the back there and not look industrial?
Yeah, I think, I think you're gonna come and say it's the nicest looking set of stairs and platforms that have been built in the village.
And if it isn't, they'll be able to.
They can, I'm not going anywhere, I don't think.
I'm gonna give him a paintbrush. Does anybody else have any concerns on the board?
There's no, is there lighting on the staircase itself or it's just?
Yes, there's enough lighting that you've got safety, but it minimized so that it's really only doing that. It's not, it's actually, I guess, I never checked with Dan, but I'm venturing to say that what we will be providing for lighting is superior to what is there now.
Yes, it is.
That's a
They
little-
have
that's a little
spotlights on the
Yeah.
back.
It's really no
Let's
lighting.
hope.
It, it's not compliant now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like down lights.
It will be
A night sky.
Yeah.
before it gets to CO.
Any concerns, Anthony? No. And
Wave.
So any of the footings that you're putting in, does that disturb the current blacktop?
They'll
They'll
need
just
to
patch it?
repatch black, yeah, we're gonna put in real footings. I mean, if we're
Right.
gonna do this, let's do it right.
Okay, I'm fine.
So they'll have to redo that. I mean, the area's been patched perhaps too many times. And they'll probably want to get that cleaned up. This will be their opportunity.
Yeah,
Looks good.
now, how far out, it looks like it, you know, the stairs themselves, instead of being parallel to the building, they're
Cantilever out.
perpendicular to the
Right.
building. So how farther out from the?
It's about 8 feet further out than what is there now. But when I went to get my photos for this and put them in, I realized I went back about 5 years too far because when we started talking about things here, there was a garage structure that came back, that whole area was about 20 feet further out. So nothing there is going to be something that, you know, makes it a difference to any neighbors.
And there are no parking spaces there?
There
now?
are 2 parking spaces which remain.
Okay, it doesn't affect them.
Nope. I can show you that again if you want to see it.
Sorry?
You want to see the plan?
Oh, I've got it right here. I just was asking, so I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, what we've got is in the existing site plan, we show 2 cars pulled up right to the back. Here, we're pulled out further, but we've got more than 24 feet behind them. So we got plenty of room.
Okay. Well, I move that we waive site plan. Do we have a second? Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Valerie, we have a AHRB resolution?
Sure. Whereas the applicant is seeking AHRB approval to make exterior modifications. Location is 103 Main Street. Now therefore be it resolved, the AHRB, Village of Dobbs Ferry, determines based on the findings and reasoning set forth below, the application is approved, granted to the following conditions, and it specifically refers to the plan set last revised January 12th, 2026.
I make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
You welcome. Thank you.
Any other business? Before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, I move that we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.